Hello my lovelies and welcome back to my channel. I'm Heather and this is the happenings with H.A.P. Hello, welcome back. I am sorry I've been MIA for the last few weeks. It's been a little bit much for my mental health lately, so I haven't been filming. I've been reading a lot, but I just haven't really felt like filming, and today I finally feel like filming, so I apologize for the absence. I am back with one of the more simpler videos that I could possibly film, but you guys seem to really enjoy them, and that is going to be my March TBR. This month is really going to be a kind of catch-up month as far as finishing some things I started and didn't get to finish in February, as well as continuation of series that I've been reading. But I want to thank all of the subscribers that I've gained in the last few weeks, which has been really surprising considering I really haven't been posting very much. And if you're returning or if you're new and you still haven't subscribed yet, well, hit that little subscribe button down below. I am like this close to hitting 100 subscribers and it would mean a lot to me if I could hit 100. I've had my channel for less than a year, so that's a big deal for me. I know for other channels that's nothing, but to me that's a big deal. And I just want to thank everyone that has been liking and commenting on my past content. I've been getting a lot of that lately, so I appreciate you guys. And I hope to have some fun stuff that's not so basic as this video in the future. So, with that, let's get into my March TBR. The first book on my list is my most anticipated read of 2021, of like all of 2021. I've been hyped for this for a full year and it is finally here. And that is Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. Hashtag Shadowhunter trash. If you don't know, this is the second book in the Last Hours trilogy, which is a sequel trilogy to the Infernal Devices and follows the children of the characters from the Infernal Devices series. It is set in Edwardian England, and I really don't have much more to say about this. I will be doing a reading vlog for this book, and I know I'm gonna have some thoughts, I'm gonna have some tears, I'm gonna have some excitement and anger. It's just, these books always run the gamut of emotions for me, and I am such a huge Shadowhunter fan. If you've watched my Chain of Iron discussion and theory video, which has gotten really popular over the last few months, I had some ideas of what this book might be about. I don't want to give anything away for those that haven't read it. Like, Shadowhunter novels are very much involved with world building, and it's kind of hard to jump in and out if you haven't read certain series. I've been wanting to read this so much that I literally took a few vacation days from work so that I could actually sit and read this book when it came out. So that should tell you a lot about my craziness for this fandom, but I'm super excited. I can't wait, and I can't wait for you guys to see that reading vlog because I'm sure I'm going to be overly dramatic, as I always am with these series, but super excited for this one. If you have not jumped on the Shadowhunter train yet, please do. I love to talk about it. I love to talk about theories, favorite characters, anything, because these books aren't going to last forever, so I'm savoring every last thing that I can about them. The next book on my list is Nick by Michael Farris Smith, and this actually was on my list for one of my most anticipated reads of 2021, and it is supposed to be a prequel book to The Great Gatsby that follows exclusively the character of Nick Carraway, who is the narrator of The Great Gatsby. Nick is basically a cipher in The Great Gatsby for the reader to kind of see the events that happen in West Egg and to Gatsby and Daisy and all these other characters. So we really don't get to know a lot about him as a character, as a person, and this book is going to explore his background primarily around being a World War I soldier and thus World War I veteran, and his experiences in France as well as New Orleans before he even gets to New York. I came across this book while I was actually looking for reads that were going to be released in 2021. I'm pretty on top of authors and genres that I really love that are coming out, but this was just kind of like on a list randomly, and I saw the cover of the book and I was like, that looks really familiar, and it's the same cover that I think everyone that has read Great Gatsby in school knows because it's the cover that's always used for that novel. I'm super excited for this one. Like I said, Nick is very much an enigma of a character and like one of the more famous characters in literary history, yet he's really not known. Like, he doesn't have much of a personality. Like, it's all framed by the events that he's seeing. So I'm really excited to see how this book is going to delve into his life, into his experiences and opinions and all of that. I've never read a Michael Farris Smith book before, so this is going to be brand new for me, but I'm super excited to dig into this and see how I like it. And it's historical fiction, so that's always right up my alley anyway as a reader. And World War I historical fiction in particular is not as prolific as World War II historical fiction is, which I do love. So I'm really excited to kind of get into a slightly different time period of history than the time that I'm used to. A lot of things on this that I'm super excited for, and we will see how it stacks up to The Great Gatsby. I haven't read The Great Gatsby since high school, and maybe I'm due for a reread. I don't know if I'll reread it this month, but we shall see. Yeah. The next book on my list is Fat Chance Charlie Vega by Crystal Maldonado. This is an Own Voices novel for the Latina representation, as Crystal Maldonado is Latina. And it's really cute because if you look at a picture of Fat Chance Charlie Vega as well as a picture of Crystal Maldonado, they look alike. So I think that this is kind of going to be a bit autobiographical without really being like an autobiography. The book follows Charlie, who is a teenage girl who sees so much about herself that she loves, that she's funny, she's ambitious, she's smart, she's all these things. But what the world mostly sees her is as fat, and not only fat, but fat and brown in a predominantly white Connecticut community. She receives kind of a lot of subtle cues for diet culture from her mother in order to lose weight, in order to be considered better in society, more desirable, and all of that. Through all of this, Charlie does have a really close best friend, Amelia, and Amelia is kind of the opposite of Charlie in that she's slim, athletic, popular, and all of that, but Charlie loves her, and, you know, it's great to have best friends like that. The conflict of the novel is basically around a boy in her class named Brian who starts paying attention to her and possibly starts liking her, and she likes him. However, she finds out that Brian had asked Amelia out first. So she's not sure if, because of his initial attraction to Amelia, if he's actually really attracted to her at all, and whether this is kind of a consolation prize or kind of taking one for the team in order to get Amelia's attention. This book was also my most anticipated reads of 2021 video, and it's because I resonated with the main character, because while I'm not brown and can never possibly know that experience, being a plus size young girl, a plus size woman now, there is a large stigma about how we can better our bodies in order to fit into society and be able to be the other adjectives that we actually are, besides the adjective of fat being our main descriptor. This novel deals with a lot about identity, about our relationship with our bodies within society, what it means to be a brown woman in a primarily white community, and all of these others come together. And this just seems like it's going to be a really amazing YA novel, and there's actually not a whole lot of plus size representation in YA at all, really. There's like a few that have gotten popular, but on the whole, it's very kind of, I don't want to say cookie cutter because it's not necessarily true, but there's certain archetypes that are seen again and again in YA fiction, and I do feel like in addition to the representation of both race and sexuality that has really kind of started to come up into the forefront of the YA community, we still need representation of different types of bodies as well as different types of disabilities. That is still something that we don't see very often, besides mental health rep, which also I feel has gotten really popular over the last few years. So hopefully this will be a stepping stone to broader conversations, broader representation in novels. So I'm really excited to read this one. I think this one is going to be very sweet and cute, romantic comedy, and also explore a lot of very important issues that I don't think it's talked about a lot in this community. So super excited for this one. Next books on my list are a continuation of my journey through Leigh Bardugo's bibliography. And first up is Ruin and Rising, which is the third book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I didn't get to finish this book last month because I wanted to take a hiatus and focus specifically on Own Voices Black authors for Black History Month. So I'm excited to dive back into the Grishaverse. For those that don't know, this follows Alina, who is an unknown Grisha. She is the sun summoner and basically the one who's going to save Ravka from the evil darkness of the Darkling. That's about the most basic terms I can have this trilogy being. If you watched my January reading wrap up, these books weren't my favorite books that I've ever read, but I was enjoying them. My favorite so far of the series is book 2, so I'm hoping that the third one wraps it up really nicely because I'm not really sure how this will end. because there's a duality between the Darkling and Alina that is a really awesome like relationship to explore. And I'll put it out there, I really like an enemies to lovers, or at least an enemies to attraction type of trope. I don't know what that says about me, myself as a woman, but I like to read it. I don't really want to experience it, but reading it is fun, and I like those power dynamics. That's why I think I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue so much, was that had a power dynamic in there like that. So I'm all for that, but I also love the friends to lovers trope that this also explores. The world building and magic of this universe is really interesting, and I like delving into kind of elemental magic because A, not everyone has magical powers, magical abilities, and B, the ones that do obviously vary in their ranges of power as well as what they can do. So that's really cool to explore, and I'm just really excited to see how this series, this final chapter, closes up. I know that it's part of kind of like a bigger universe, which is why they're having the TV show in the first place. So I'm just curious of how this will end and how it will lead up to my next book on this list that I'm going to get into. So the next book after Rune and Risen I'm hoping to read will be Six of Crows, also by Leigh Bardugo. And this is the start of a separate duology, and compared to Shadow and Bone, Six of Crows I feel has almost universal praise on BookTube. I honestly don't know much about it except that it's about, I think, 6 assassins, bounty hunters, something like that. I don't know, because I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin like the ending of the Shadow and Bone trilogy by knowing maybe some information about this, because I don't know which characters might cross over into each other. I have no idea, but I've heard, like I said, universal praise about this, and I know that characters from this series are also going to be in the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix, which kind of confuses me because I don't know if the events in this book are happening at the same time as the events in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I don't know, because the Shadow and Bone trilogy covers a span of like at least a year, maybe, if not many months. So there's a lot of time that happens, and I believe that the Six of Crows is part of the Grishaverse. So again, I know nothing about it. I'm purposefully not looking up spoilers because I don't want to know anything about it, and I don't know if any of the characters that we've seen in Shadow and Bone are also going to be in this series. But I have very high hopes for this one. I had high hopes for Shadow and Bone, but I had heard mixed reviews about it. But this one, it's like, I feel like if I don't like this one, I don't know, maybe I just wouldn't like Leigh Bardugo. But so far I've been enjoying her writing a lot. I've just not been so in love with some of her characters, particularly Alina is still kind of meh to me. But I'm excited to delve into this one, and I'm hoping to get to Crooked Kingdom this month as well, which is the sequel to Six of Crows, but I don't know if I'll be able to get that far. We'll see. I'm trying to make this at least a realistic TBR, but I'm super excited to keep going into Leigh Bardugo's work. After reading the first 2 Shadow and Bone books, and after watching the trailer for the Netflix series, like, I'm actually way more excited about it than I was initially, so that's a good thing. Maybe I might find the film series to be slightly better than the books, which I will do a video regardless, because this is the most talked about series that's debuting right now. I just hope that I really can keep getting into these books. I do love a lot of aspects about Leigh Bardugo's fantasy books so far and world building, so I think I'll like it. I just hope that I love it as much as everyone else, and I know that that's not necessarily a good thing to hope for because everyone has different opinions, but it's really kind of hard when the hype is like surrounding you everywhere and you're trying to have like a completely unbiased opinion and just kind of experience the novel happening, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm still super excited to read them. I've been enjoying the ride. I'm hoping that I like it more than I've been, if that makes sense. So my 2021 reading resolutions video, I made a statement that I wanted to get to the books on my bookshelf by reading 1 book a month. That has not completely gone through very well per se, but I'm still continuing to try. It's just harder for me to sit down and read sometimes than it is to just do my audiobooks because I can do multiple things. But for this month, I'm going to be continuing the book I started last month, and that is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi, which I started reading, like I said, last month for Black History Month, and the book is upside down because of a weird printing error. I'm 110 pages in, and I have been loving this so much. It follows 2 half-sisters from Ghana, one married to a white Englishman whose family stays in Ghana and one who is kidnapped and sent to be a slave in America, and her descendants. So it's half siblings and their descendants throughout the years. And each chapter follows a different person in this family's lineage. And I'm absolutely loving this so far. Like I said, I'm only 100 pages in and it's only like a 300-page book, but I'm so loving this so far and I can't wait to finish it. My only critique thus far is that I want to explore some of these characters for longer than a chapter. Each chapter is maybe about 30 pages, so each chapter is almost like its own short story, but I'm just adoring this book. It's really, really tough. Trigger warning for very intense, obviously, physical abuse, slavery, rape, all these types of things. Like, it's definitely a heavy book to get through. So you have to be in the right mind space to read this. So I want to preface that, but it is beautifully written. The story is tragically beautiful and the characters are so rich and so different. And it's just such an interesting way of looking at lineage and family history, as well as family identity and racial identity and all of that. So I'm loving this so far, and I really do think I should finish this month. Like I said, it's only about 300. Yeah, it's like almost 300 pages exactly. So I should be able to finish this soon. Definitely love it, and I cannot wait to finish it. So that is it. That's my TBR for March. I feel like there's a lot of genres being represented kind of in this, and it should be a really fun reading month. I'm really hoping that this reading month will reflect my reading month last month, because that was a really good one. And I'm super excited about really all of these. So have you guys read any of these books or are planning to? I know I have some Shadowhunter lovers in my subscribers, so leave a comment down below and let me know. And with that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your March, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!